Hey, I hope you're doing fine and are having a great day. My name is Joanne. Welcome to Joanne's Two Cents podcast. I am very excited to welcome you to yet another exciting episode of my podcast. In our episode today, I am going to say something about journaling. If you watched my recent video, I said something briefly under a minute about why it is important to journal down. So journaling is basically writing down your thoughts. You have a small notebook in your bag at your house where you write down the things going on in your head. It could be during moments where you could be awake late at night at 3 a.m. and then something comes to your mind. You write it down. This could be a clear set of goals of things you want out of life, so you decide to write them down. It could be after a session with your mentor or with your friend or with your workmates where you sit and brainstorm ideas. It could be things that just come to your mind that keep you going, that remind you why you're doing what you're doing. So basically, personally, my life is like any other person's life. It's a roller coaster. Some days I have it together, some other days I really don't. Some days I'm stuck, some days I'm like my best, some other days I am very scared to even make mistakes. I have a lot of back and forth, but here's what I usually tell myself, and I would tell you as a friend, is that take one day at a time. If you're someone experiencing such sessions, the better alternative is to write down. Let's say December is here and in your first week you find yourself feeling overwhelmed. Now journaling helps you break it down to understand why are you feeling overwhelmed, what are those things that are scaring you out. So a month later or 2 weeks later, if you end up with the same feeling, you will know how to go about it. So in my personal experience, journaling has really helped me, and the several things that I would really like to share that I wrote, I think I read the date here. It was on the 19th of June or July 2021. So with everything that I've been through the past few weeks, I was opening pages back and forth. I think at that time I was thinking my diary is really full and I'd need a new one. So I landed on this page and I'm like, oh wow. So I thought I should share some of the things I wrote down and then maybe talk briefly about it, so that when you get the chance to write down, you know what to write down, so that you do not feel shy about whatever is going on in your head, because it is messy in your head, but when you put it out there is a way it's very clear and very streamlined. Yeah, so allow me to take you through some of the things I wrote a year ago to myself, or whatever I was working on at the time. They really made sense, and to think that I look back and think they were so helpful that writing it down was kind of manifesting it to life. So one of the things I wrote, one of them says, noticing different repeated patterns in my life and using them to read and interpret my life. Now, repeated patterns, I think what I meant here is things that constantly keep happening in your life. If it's fear, or if it's you, I don't know, if you're shy, or it could be a bad character your friends keep complaining about. It could be your attitude. Month after month, the things that constantly keep happening in your life, like when you feel pain in your chest. Yeah, if you feel it this week and the next month you feel it that week, you will be alarmed and you will eventually go see a doctor. So watching the different patterns in your life that keep happening, to use them to do something about your life. So I think at that time I noticed how timid and scared I was about life. I was so scared of like getting out of my shell, and not just that, there are so many things we all keep working on. So I think at that time I was noticing the different repeated patterns in my life and using them to read myself and then be able to work on them. The second thing that I wrote down says, embracing my mistakes from the past rather than running away from them to start over. I think I noticed this. I used to like move a lot, like when, like, let's say I am staying let's say in Bukoto, and something unfortunate happens to me while I'm in Bukoto. Let's say if I lose money, or if something bad happens and keeps reminding me, and the place I'm in keeps reminding me of that particular bad experience. Before you know it, I am thinking of moving. So I think I wrote this down when my head was just in that space whereby, like, I don't have to let clothes go, or if something happened to me when I'm putting on a particular shoe or a dress, or I hate it because it keeps reminding me of that situation, and I actually don't do anything about not repeating the same mistake. So it is important that we embrace our mistakes, the things that go wrong, because we're bound to mess up, and then use them to learn better. The other thing that I wrote down says, allowing myself to heal from all that life has thrown at me, to keep hope alive, a positive mentality, and positive energy. Yeah, I think this is true for so many people. We've all had our traumas, our bad experiences. We've all had our share of what people say life is hard. So in this experience, I think I was reminding myself constantly to embrace the pain, the trauma, the scars that come with my life. Yeah, and not letting them walk into rooms before me, because most of the times you're judging yourself, you're putting yourself down like you're your own enemy. So embracing them and understanding that those bad experiences shaped you for who you are today is very important. The other thing I wrote says, praying for gratitude and a positive attitude towards life, my job, my house, and those in it. Gratitude. For one, I am such a guilty person about gratitude. I am always constantly complaining about everything, and very few moments I have friends who tell me, Joanne, wherever you are right now is another person's prayer. Please be grateful. So if you are having one of those sessions where you're constantly ranting and complaining and cussing out every blessing you have in your life, this is your reminder to be grateful. The other thing I wrote says, some days I don't have the blueprint to what exactly I want to do or what I'd love to be. But with these beautiful thoughts noted down, I am hopeful and positive that I'm on my way there. Oh yeah. Brings us back to the reason, the subject of this episode today, being able to journal down. Yes, it's inevitable that some days you won't know what you're doing, that you will lose focus, that you will get exhausted like any normal person. You'll get drained, your cup will be empty, you'll need to feel it. So it is important that you journal down and clearly identify why you've started, why you're doing what you're doing, what's the expected end goal out of it, to take one day at a time, to give yourself the patience that whatever you want out of your life is gonna take time to get. The other thing I wrote is, I think, one line: because I'm aware, I'm alive, I'm present and willing. These are very important. I think I need to break this down in a separate episode, but I feel like most of us are not actually present. We're just going through a routine of, okay, it's nighttime, go to sleep, you turn off the lights, then sleep, wake up in the morning and, I don't know, eat because you're supposed to eat, then go to work because you're supposed to. Like, we don't get the time to pause and actually examine yourself. What do I want? Do I want to sleep at 10? Do I want to have breakfast at 8? Is this what I want out of life? Like, we're really not present. We even when we're having a very beautiful moment with, like, let's say your significant other or your family or your friends, you're absent-minded. You're constantly thinking about the next thing. So staying alive, staying present, staying aware of yourself, aware is you feel your energy. Am I happy here? Am I content here? Am I scared? If so, why is it that way? The other thing I wrote about says, embracing my skin color, my scars, my story, my body size, to love them, to truly embrace them, knowing that I can't change, but to love it truly and not let anyone use it against me. Oh yeah, I think at this point I was in that headspace where I was feeling very insecure about my body size. I have very long legs, I am very tall and small, and then each time I'd go see my mom, she would complain about my bones. The ones on my chest, she would say I am so skinny, and I think at that point I had so much basketball going on. So each time I think the food just kept going through with the sport activities. So I think I was in that space where I really hated my body size, and then I hated the scars on my body, and I had this huge battle in my head going on about if I just had all that, I would be like perfect. And then I think as I had that fight about my teeth too, like I was very insecure about these things. So, and then I think with a few interactions I had with people here, I figured that if there is something that I have power over, then I'm gonna change. I think people who knew me then knew that I got braces. If the things on me that I can't change, then I am gonna embrace them and love them. And this happens to so many of us. There's so many things we worry about, yet you do not have control over. So worry about the things you actually can fix. Let's say if it's you do not know how to speak or communicate, that's something you can control, right? You can learn how to be able to listen and understand before you respond. But things that you usually don't have control over, let's say your skin color or your scars on your body, or if it's something that's totally out of your control, you do not really have to worry about it, because at the end of the day, it sounds like it matters in your head because you're beating yourself up about it, but it really doesn't. Like, there is more to yourself than the flaws you carry. I remember when I was working through it, I told myself I can't be this brilliant and have the perfect body. I know, sounds very entitled, but yeah, I think it really helped me. Like, the line where they say God doesn't give it all. Yeah, so I knew there is no way he would make me this amazing and still give me the perfect body. At least he had to let go of one thing. Yeah, so the last thing I think I wrote about that I want to share is I do not trust myself enough to make the right decisions or have the right judgment. That's why I share so much of my personal life with others than they do. Yeah. So there was a time that I noticed that I share so much about myself with so many people, and not that they're not my close friends. Nothing like betrayal happened really. I just thought that my life was, I had made it so much of everyone's business. Like, if I'm going through something, if I want to cut my hair, if I want to tint my hair, if I want to, whatever was, it is important. I think it's a girl's thing. That's what most people would say. It is a girl's thing for girls to be able to share. But then I realized it's not their business. And then I realized they weren't sharing as much as I was. Not that I got offended, but then I kept wondering, it's so much work that I have to tell Joanne, Mary, Susan. I'd have to tell like 6 girls who are like very close friends about, let's say, a shoe that I want to do, or want to buy, or a hairstyle that I want to get. I realized that I was doing it way too much than any normal person would do. And another person would say that I had a loose mouth. No, it wasn't. I realized that I don't go around spilling people's secrets. I realized it was more of my life. The new guy I'm dating, all my 4-5 girlfriends know about him. Or if I'm going back to my mom, I've told all of them. And then I realized they're doing things and none of them is telling me about it. So then I questioned myself, why do I keep doing that? And then I realized that the reason why I kept doing that was because I do not trust myself. Like, I keep telling them to seek their approval or their opinion. Like, what do they think? So, like, if I said I wanted to cut my hair, and if there are 6, if 4 of them said, yeah, I would cut it. If 3 or 2 said, no, I wouldn't mind. Like, I would go with the majority. The majority rule, you get. Like, I wasn't making decisions by myself. So, in general, all these things I have shared, I am sure I am not the only one who experiences them. If you have had a similar encounter, please, I hope you're able to learn something from this. Brings me back to my point. Please take the time to journal down, write down your thoughts, your feelings. It doesn't have to be only the moments when you feel excited about life. It could be on the times when you're really just sad or lonely. You could write down how you feel. Are you scared? Are you shy? Do you feel alone? Are you timid? Are you afraid of making mistakes? It is important because sometimes most people are not comfortable sharing, because that's what they say. Talk to someone, find a friend. I get it. Most people are very uncomfortable with opening up to a friend or partner because they do not want to show that they're weak. But when you journal down I feel like it's of so much relief that when you open that page a week later or even the next day, you have a clear a clear process of things, yeah, because in your head a lot is going on. Your brain is processing things back and forth at a very fast rate. You're drawing conclusions, you're pinning yourself, you're calling yourself out. It's very hard in the heat of the moment for you to be able to process anything. So even when you're excited, let's say you've gotten a new job, or when the heat of the moment will have you miss a few details. So when you write them down, you're able to dissect clearly. This is it. This is what I want. This is when I want it. This is why I have to wake up early. This is why, it will always remind you the why, because that's very important. Why are you doing what you're doing? Remember, our goal is to live intentional, fulfilling lives. So the why part is very important. So I hope that this was insightful to you and it did help you learn something about yourself that you didn't know. Thank you for taking the time to listen in. I don't take it for granted. I will see you on the next one. Bye.